Your turn, Yugi boy.
What is up, guys? This is AlintheaYoh coming at you today with a discussion about mind control. Now, first off, something I just want to say is apologies for the lazy layout that I have. I don't normally do this, but in transition of slowly trying to get back into the swing of things with YouTube videos, I don't have my proper setup really, and I'm looking at changing a couple of things up. So until then, lazy setup it is. So today I want to talk about mind control. Now, I'll put my hands up and say that I dismissed mind control way too quickly in the ban list discussion. So when it came out, it was a big whirlwind of things that were happening. There were so many things changing in that, and when I got to mind control and brain control, I dismissed them as being trash. Now, the reason why I did that is because for some reason in my head at that time, I just assumed that brain control was the exact same as mind control. I know that it isn't, because it's a very good card. However, that is history now. I've had a chance to rethink, and mind control at 3 is something that could potentially be not a problem, but something you need to pay attention to. So the history of mind control, it was unlimited until, I think it was September 2009 format, when it went straight to 1. Now, the reason why this went to 1 is, if people remember in the 2009 format, was basically because I think it was Cat Synchro really brought it to light, but just synchros in general. I really think back then mind control should have gone to 1 or even banned as soon as synchros came into play into their existence, because what it eventually made, well, what it meant that you could do was just take your opponent and use it as a synchro monster, and obviously with Cat Synchro as well, you could just use it with that. You could take your opponent's face down monsters. You could take your opponent's monster, use it as Dark Strike Fighter fuel back then. Yes, Dark Strike Fighter was banned for a reason. And it was just really good in general. Now it being at 3 in an age where links are a thing, where you can steal your monster and use it for a link, when you can steal your opponent's link monster and use it to co-link stuff, or just to, in general, I don't know if co-link's the correct word there, but just in general be able to add to your additional links. Like if you take your opponents like Barrel Dragon and you have like, you know, a link 4 there that you can use to go into something pretty decent, because you know you have 4 links and you just need 1 monster, and then you could like go into, I don't know, like your firewall or whatever. It's kind of good. So if we look at the pros and the cons of mind control, the cons of mind control are you can't attack with the monster and it cannot be tributed, so you can't tribute someone with it, for example, or use it as a tribute. However, things you can do with it, use it as a link, use it as a synchro, use it as an exe, use it in a fusion. Hold on, yeah, fusions don't tribute, or do they? I digress. That is just a technicality. There are still so many good things. And even just moving a monster out of the way for you to try and enable your strategies, your abilities. You know, if for example your opponent has a monster on your side, on their side of the field that you're trying to get over, or you're trying, that is in the way basically, or you need to bait something out, mind control is a really good way to do it. Mind control is one of these cards that had potential, but at 1, it didn't really do anything because it was a one-off. It was a bit difficult to use. If you got it, it was great, but you would kind of need other things to set up and to be able to play with it. But now, because it is at 3, and just that, even if it was at 1 anyway, it could be a possible contender just because of the way links work. Now, I feel that mind control is something that should really be taken into consideration when building your decks. It could be a fairly decent side deck card that you might actually see cropping up, because if people are playing similar decks or the same deck, and there are cards that utilize, you know, monsters in the deck to achieve a deck strategy, and for example, if you need or require a certain type of monster that goes into the links in the extra deck, well, what's to stop you from, like back in the day, just going, I like that monster, I'm taking it and I'm going to use it to my advantage for my own deck. Being at 3 is a really weird feeling for me. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about mind control now that I sit down and just kind of look at it. One of the most powerful types of effects and situations in the game, has always been in the game, is being able to take your opponent's monster for basically free and do as much as you can with it. That's why Change Your Heart will probably never ever come back. That's why when Snatch Steal came back, it ruined the meta. And that was in a meta where it was with Shadows, and you saw how much player interaction there was when you took your opponent's, like Construct for example, used it as your own you will use it to your own devices. It was just so good, and while mind control, obviously you can't attack and you can't tribute it, you can do a lot of other things with it as well. And I think that it's something that should really be taken into consideration when you are building your decks for the future. Now, I don't have a proper outlook on the future of the archetypes that are coming out very soon, as I haven't looked into it, obviously being out of the game for a long time. Still got a lot of catching up to do, but I can see this being used, and I think it's something people should really take note of and be wary of, because if you do splurge onto the field and don't have any protection that you might normally have, and your opponent just steals that monster from you, uses it to their own gains for 1 card use with no cost, it's kind of going to be devastating. So mind control, we should really pay attention to it, I think.